Hi there, this is Brick, your IELTS tutor, and in this video we will cover all the key information that you need to know about the IELTS listening test. So let's get started. Now, by watching this video, you will learn 5 things. First, we will look at the purpose of the IELTS listening test. Then we will look at the format of the listening exam. And then we will look at the different question types that you will be asked. And after that, we will look at how the examiner will mark your test. And finally, we will look at some of the best tips to help you get the highest score in your exam. So let's go straight to number 1. And what is the purpose of the listening test? Well, the purpose of the listening test is to assess your listening skills. Now, what does that mean? Now, that basically means that the examiner will assess a wide range of different listening skills. So, for example, you will be assessed on how well you understand the main topic of a conversation. You will also be assessed to see if you can understand specific factual information and whether you can recognize the opinions of a speaker. And finally, you will be assessed on whether you can follow the development of an argument. Now, that might sound a little bit complicated, but 2 things will definitely help you get better with this. The first thing is by practicing and preparing for your exam. And I will tell you how you can do that later on in this video. And the second thing is by watching the whole of this video, because we will break down how you can prepare for this whole exam. Now, let's look at the format of the IELTS listening test. So in the exam, you will listen to 4 recordings of native English speakers. And you will also have to write your answers down to a series of different questions. So let's break these 4 recordings down. Now, recording 1 is between 2 people and it will be based on an everyday setting. So like a general conversation. Recording 2 will be a monologue about an everyday setting. So a monologue is basically where only one person talks. So an example of this could be a speech. So in recording 2, you may listen to a speech. Now, recording 3 will be a conversation with up to 4 different people. And the context of this conversation will be about something academic. So for example, it may be a discussion about a university lecture or even an assignment. And the final recording 4, will be a monologue based on an academic subject. So for example, again, like a lecture. Now, one thing to note about all these recordings is that there will be different people speaking and all these people may have different accents. So it is a good idea to get familiar with different English accents. One way you can do this is just by watching TV shows. A show that I recommend to watch is Friends. Now let's look at the timing for the test. Now, the listening exam lasts for 30 minutes. And once those 30 minutes are over, you will then be given an additional 10 minutes. And those 10 minutes are given to you so you can transfer all your answers from the question paper to the answer paper. Now let me explain what that means. So during the 30 minutes of your listening test, you will write your answers down on a question sheet. And once the 30 minutes are over, those extra 10 minutes will be for you to transfer all your answers from this sheet onto the answer sheet. And the answers that you have in your answer sheets, those will be the final answers that will be taken forward to the examiner. So the question paper will not be marked, only the answer booklet will be marked. Now, another point to note that this extra 10 minutes will only be given to you if you take the paper-based IELTS exam. So there are 2 types of IELTS exam. we have the paper-based IELTS exam, and we also have the computer-based IELTS exam. Now, in the computer-based IELTS exam, you will not be given this additional 10 minutes. And the reason for that is that your answers that you type out during those 30 minutes of the exam, they will be saved as your final answers. That means that there is no need for you to transfer your answers, which means that you don't need this extra 10 minutes in the computer-based exam. Okay, now let's talk about the different question types. Well, altogether there are 40 questions in the listening exam, and there are a variety of different question types. So let's go through each one of these question types, and we will also look at example questions so you can see what each question type actually looks like. Some of them you may already be familiar with. So let's get straight into it. Well, the first question type that you will be asked is multiple choice questions. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with this. So we'll go to the next one, and that is matching questions. So again, on your screen, you can see an example of what this question looks like. And the next question is called a labeling question. And here you will label a plan, a map, or a diagram. Feel free, by the way, to screenshot any of these images, or you can just pause the video to have a closer look. So the next question type is called a summary completion question. And here you may have to complete a form, a note, a table, or a flowchart. Okay, now let's look at what I find the most interesting, and that is how your exam will be marked. So we already know at this point that there are 40 questions. Each question is worth 1 mark. That means that the maximum amount of marks that you can get is 40. Now, what happens is that whatever amount of marks you get in the exam, those marks will be converted to a band score. Now, a band score is up to 9, and they work in whole bands and half bands. So let's look at an example of what this actually looks like. So on this side of your screen, you can see the marks that you will be given, and this is called a raw score. And these marks will be converted to the IELTS band score. So let's look at an example. So if you get 16 to 17 marks, then you will be given a band 5 for the listening exam. And this will give you a good idea to find out how many marks you need to get your desired band. For example, if you want to get 6.5, then you know that you need to get anywhere between 26 and 29 marks. Again, feel free to screenshot this image. And now let's look at some of the best tips to help you get the highest mark possible. Okay, so the first tip is to take a practice test. Now, there are many advantages of taking a practice test. For example, it will help you get familiar with the whole exam itself. You can see what the different question types look like. It will also help you get familiar with hearing different accents, and also getting used to the speed in which the people speak at. Now, the more tests you take to practice, the better you will get. Now, here's my advice. I recommend that you take a minimum of 3 different practice tests. And here's why. So by completing 3 different tests, you can look at your overall band score, and it will give you a good idea as to what level you are at. This will let you know how many more marks you need to get your desired score. Or maybe by this point, it will let you know that you are already at the level that you want to achieve. Now, once you've taken these 3 practice IELTS tests, what you want to do is analyze your results. So the way we can do that is look at the answers that you answered correctly and you want to focus on different question types. So for example, you want to look at the matching heading questions for all 3 tests, and you want to go through each question type up until you find the question type where you answered all the questions correctly. Now, if you want to learn more tips that will help you with your listening score, you can click on this link on your screen, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.